Hello and welcome to Tangle Tuesday. I'm Loretta West, a certified Zentangle teacher and soul collage facilitator and all-around art gal. And I'm here to show you some fun tangles that have a spring theme. This will be the last Tangle Tuesday until the fall. And I want to thank you for joining me today. It really means a lot to me that you're here to let me do what I do. So we're going to need some tools today. I'll get rid of my little thing here. You need a piece of paper. You could use photocopy paper, printer paper, if that's what you have. And you can use a Zentangle tile like this. Today I'm going to use a larger piece of paper so that you can see. And using a Strathmore artist tile with a vellum surface. It's Bristol paper. It's 6 by 6. I use it a lot. I use this size a lot. Find it easy to use and trying to cram stuff into a little space. And get yourself situated to your paper when you get it in front of you so that it's really, what's the word I'm looking for? Comfortable. That's the word I'm looking for. Comfortable. So, directly in front of you is good. I do need it zoomed in there. And your feet, if you can, put them flat on the floor on some books or whatever, so that you're sitting straight as much as you can. And really feel the gravity in the chair, your body in the chair. And maybe take a minute just to take some deep breaths to be where we are now. Oh. Maybe roll your shoulders out, back, up and back a few times. And be ready. You're also going to need a pencil. This is a Zentangle pencil, which is an HB pencil. I wouldn't use a softer pencil, perhaps a harder pencil if you want, but I'm going to use this so that you can see it. And a pen. I have a Sakura Pigment Pen Sensei, an 04. It has a bullet tip. And I like it because the barrel, that's what this is called in a pen or pencil, is quite thick. And so it's easy for me to utilize over a long period of time. I also have my backup pen, which is a fine or a 0.5 Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen Fineliner in black, and it's got a felt tip. Whatever you have, it could be a Bic pen. As long as it's fine, you can do what we're doing today. And I have what's called a tortillon or a blending stump to spread graphite along about, but I probably won't use it today, but I've got it. You can buy these online or any art store. They're very inexpensive. You can also make your own. I'm sure there's a YouTube video somewhere about how to make your own. I've got a paper. And I'm going to do some coloring today. So I've got a set or a bunch of Prismacolor pencils in various colors. These today are going to be sort of towards the greeny blue tone, more on the cool side of the color spectrum, and with a little bit of orange as a contrasting color. So you might want to think about that when you're picking colors. Do I want cool colors? Do I want warm colors? What color is the contrast? And to pick colors, you just put down on a piece of paper a little swatch of it. Then start adding colors you think that might go with it or might look good together. And just pick your colors that way. And then you'll just like, okay, well, that goes with that. Let's try this one. That goes. And you just carry on and make this little swatches. And so I usually get a pile of pencils where I think I want to go. And then I create the swatches. And if it's good, it goes to one side. Whoops, it goes to the right side. If it's bad, it goes to the left side. So that's my little ways of keeping track. And then I might add some gold today. So this is a Decocolor liquid gold opaque paint marker by Marby, and actually Marby and also Uchida. And it does put out a really lovely gold. It is a little smelly. It's a smelly feller. So you might want to make sure you're in a well-ventilated room to use it. Okay, I'm going to start with my pencil. So we're going to create a Zentangle string. And if you're not familiar with that, that is sort of like scaffolding. It's a place to hang the different patterns and put them in sort of order, instead of just starting on a blank piece of paper anywhere. We're going to give you some ideas on how to start here. So we're going to start with the 4 dots, and this is a really good thing to get into, is to do the 4 dots, because that sort of says to your brain and to your body, oh, this is really now. So in the corner of each, sorry, in the square corners, I'm going to be doing this dot. You see that? And I'm going to answer this thing. Hang on a sec. Okay. And then I'm going to connect them with a sort of straight line. They're not going to be exactly straight because that doesn't exist for me. If you can do a really straight line, that's fantastic. So another way to do a straight line is to hold your pencil and put a finger against the edge of your paper and draw down to keep it relatively straight. Okay. And then we're going to do another one this way. So I'm just utilizing the edge of my paper. There. So you can see the first one that I did freehand, with it's got a funny mark there, but that's right, ignoring that, is kind of got a wow to it. The other ones where I utilized, actually this one too, this one has a wow to it. The ones where I utilized my finger on the side are a little bit straighter, I hope. But it's okay. It's not cut and dry that you have to have things exactly straight. Otherwise, you would be using a ruler. Okay, so very simply, we're going to draw an X on our paper with the center being here. And you can do it from the top to the bottom, or from the bottom to the top, whichever you think is, and I do it quite lightly, and I might have to do it a few times to get it the way I like it. So I'm aiming for these corners, and it's a little bit funny. Oh my goodness, wiggly waggly this morning. It's been a while since obviously all I've done is fed myself breakfast. Okay, but here's what I'm looking for. This is so funny. All right, you gotta laugh at yourself when you're making art. You really do, because it's just not that serious for me. Okay, so this is my line. I'm picking the lines here that are these straightest that I can see. Okay, if you want, if you did like I did and you had wiggly fingers this morning, oh dear, then you can go in with a kneaded eraser, and I'm just going to erase the lines that I don't want. Or you can leave them in there. The Zentangle method would be to leave them in. but I'm feeling more picky today, so I'm getting rid of them. Okay, so that's the first X marks the spot. And then pick the center. So roughly on the center of your X upwards, you're going to put a dot. I'm just trying to keep an idea of where my center is. And over here is a dot, and it's not exact. It's there. That gives me an idea where the center is. And I'm going to turn it on an angle here. So I want to draw an arc, and I'm not going to go to the center, but I want to know where that is because I don't want to aim for that. I want to be slightly in the inside. So we're going to draw an arc. And I'm going to measure that arc with my pencil. Okay, so there's the end of it. There's that, and there's my fingernail. Okay, so I know that that is roughly the length from here to here. So what I can do is on this one is go like this and then use my pencil to make a little mark, and go like this and use my pencil to make a little mark there. Actually, that's a big mark, but I'm making them large so that you can see. And we'll do the same on this one. And the same on this one. Or you can eyeball it. If you're good at eyeballing things, you go right ahead. Just let it work. But I like to sort of measure, not really measure, but sort of measure. Okay, so there's the center. There's my two little dots here. So my arc is going to fall between that and that. And I can see where it's a little funny. So we're just going to get some pencil here so I can make it a little more arcy. Arc-like? Arc. Rounded. That's the word. Okay. So we'll do another one. And we're going to do this one. I can see that's a problem. That's going to be on the inside there a little bit more. So relatively, now I've got relatively the same size corner arcs here. Again, it's not exact, but it's close, and close is good. Okay, so I'm going to switch to my pen. And I wanted to talk about one thing before actually we start. One of the questions I've gotten on the Facebook page, when you sign up to the Facebook page, asks, what do you want to learn? One of the questions I've gotten a lot lately is, I want to learn, or the answers is, I want to learn what tangles go well together. And the answer to that question is, all tangles go well together. Right? I think that the key is for picking tangles is to look at the shape that they're going in too, but all tangles will fit in a certain shape as well. But if you really want to showcase that tangle, then the shape might matter. And the other thing is really to experiment. Say, okay, and you don't have to you don't have to do a big Zentangle to experiment. You could just do a little one. You could do, a square of one and then a square of another one, just in small, and see if they, if you like it. They do go together, but maybe you don't like it. So it's really very much a preference thing. So let's start. I'm going to take my pen. I'm going to go over this pencil line again. And that's a little over again. Oh, now come on, don't run out of ink. Okay, talking to your pens helps. Okay. And then I'm going to do another arc on the outside. So I'm going to aura or draw a parallel line around that. I'm going to switch my pens because I got a feeling that one's running out. It is running off. Okay. Well, the first tangle we're going to do is called influx. And that's spelled INAFLUX. And it's by Debbie New. Okay. You can see my lines are really wiggly today, so I'm just going to go over them again. So there's nothing wrong with if your lines are a little not the way you like them, or they're too light, or something's gone, or your hand's not woken up like mine hasn't. Just go over your lines again. Nothing wrong with that. And I'm going to go back to my pencil, and in about a quarter of the way down on this line, I'm going to draw a little circle, a little oval, and that's going to give me something to draw around. So influx is a very nice little tangle. I'm going to start at the top, and we're going to do sort of a leaf shape here. How it starts. And the tops of these next forms are going to touch that little oval. So there we are. We'll do part of that one. So if you're familiar with Sanibel or that kind of tangle, then you will like this one. That's the problem. Okay. And then another one down here. And then we're going to grow it. And then we're going to come around here. Which is like the tangle flux. And move your paper around. Don't be afraid to move it around so that it's comfortable for you. Whoops, I went over the line there. My hand jiggled. The jiggle. It's okay. I keep going. So it's a kind of an Art Deco thing. I don't know. That's what it looks like to me anyway. And in here, we're going to start drawing some little lines and some dots. But it reminded me of a flower bud, and which is the start of spring, and things are starting to emerge in the garden. And I'm so glad that last fall, when I was feeling funky, that we planted more bulbs, because they're just gorgeous right now. They're starting to bloom. And then you have these spaces, and you could do anything in here. I mean, you want to do tipple, which is the little circles smashed together. Or I'm going to do a stylized triangle, matching these lines. So slightly curved. Okay. That's our first tangle. And what you're going to do is you'll do one in each corner. And I'm not going to do that today. Right now, I'll do it later. but you'll do one in each corner, which you can probably do on your own time. And then what about this little border here? There's so many border tangles. One of the things that I looked up, it was on Pinterest, will give you ideas, is ribbon tangles. And there's a lot that are by Maria Thomas, and she's really good at them. And so if you want to get ideas for what to do here, if you don't like what I'm doing, feel free to look up something else. Or if you have a favorite border tangle that you want to do today, then go ahead and do it. But I'm going to go back to like the many years ago, the start of when I started Zentangle and learning how to do it. And the tangle is an official Zentangle pattern called Zander. And I think we did it in the teacher training. Z-A-N-D-E-R, Zander. So it starts with these little cuffs or bracelets that are slightly C-shaped. You're just hooking around these lines. I'm going to cover this in a little bit. I've got some skips. I think the pen really was running out of ink. Okay. And you can make them, you could do 2 together, 1 together. You could make them all equidistant, or they can be different as far as placement is concerned. Some could be close together, some farther away. That's what I'm going to go with this one. And then I'm going to draw some slightly curved lines on the edge here. So it gives the illusion, the curved lines give the illusion that's going through something, going through these little bracelets. And then I'm going to break up this line here and the next one to it. So let me just do that so you can see. Let's do another one here. Okay, somebody had asked what the YouTube channel is called, and it's Color, C-O-L-O-U-R, Garden, G-A-R-D-E-N, Studio. And it's also under Loretta West, CZT, so you can find it both ways. You'll find lots of videos on there. Different degrees of difficulty. Most of them are pretty easy. And geared to the beginner, a lot of them are. Okay, so in here, I'm going to just do some as well. Lines. So that's Zander. So that would go around each of your flux flowers. Okay, so I'm going to have to restate this one. I'm going to have to go around this one. Hang on here. Realize I'm going to have to do this arc here to do the next part. Oh, nice. Let's wiggle, 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 wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle was my hand. I don't know why. Some mornings it's more wiggly than others. That is aging for you. Okay. So then from the center, I'm going to do this. So you can decide before we do that, what do you want in the center? You might want to do a Zen button in there and look that up. I don't have a video for that, but there are lots of that. You might want to do that. I'm going to do a little flower shape. And I'm going to utilize henna drum, which is another pattern or sort of henna drum. And I don't have the name of the creator of that, but I can get that. 2 GIFs. And you could make it Oh, I forgot to do this part. Oh dear. Okay. Sort of ham and drum, probably not exactly the right or the way it was intended, but it's my version this morning. Here's my center flower. Okay. So I've got this shape in here, what to do, you know, this is like, what do you have? Like I was explaining earlier, what's quite often is the shape of something that determines what I do. And I'm also going to extend these lines. So I'm going to take these lines here, at least on this side, to show you like that. Then I'm going to parallel or aura. Then you could do, you know, again, any kind of border pattern in here. You could leave them and just color them or leave them blank. It's so many choices that you get to make, but I'm going to do a little chevron here. Coming off. When I do this, I also think about blank spaces. I think about resting spaces for the eye. And I try not to cover everything in patterns, which is, you know, my tendency. So I try to think about white spaces and spaces that are easy on the eye. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is called Be Light. Now, Be Light is, I'll spell it down here, was probably in one of the first Zentangle pattern books by Susan McNeil many years ago. And that I started learning with. I'm assuming that they are still in print and they're very good. So if you would like to have books on, you know, how-to books to learn more patterns, I would start with her books, and they're numbered sequentially. So it starts, you know, number one's very easily, and they get more difficult as it goes on. So it's a grid pattern. So I'm going to start here in the center and just do a line down. And then my grids are quite, you know, you want to make sure you got enough room to do some stuff. So, you know, finger width, or, you know, at least pinky finger width. Would be a good idea. Rule of pinky as opposed to the rule of thumb. Okay, and then I would turn my tile here and again go for the wider gap versus teeny tiny, so that I've got room to do what I need to do. So you have a good like that. Again, the lines aren't perfect, they're crooked, they're organic. They're where I am today. And if you're familiar with the Tangle pattern, crescent moon, and this is very similar, the way it starts with a sort of crescent shape in the corner. And it can be any corner. And you might want to look up online for Be Light Zentangle pattern. That's what I'm looking for. Variations, that's it. Variations. And you might come up with a whole bunch of different ways to do it, but this is the standard. I'm going to show you the standard. So we're just going to aura. I'm just going to give it 3 lines here. And suppose, it can be confusing, but you could do another one facing this way, going, with that way. But I'm going to do it the standard, which is the same one. So here I've got a little partial one of this. I'm puddling in some black here, but you might want to try a different color in there. It's really up to you. You get to make the decisions. And I've got one here that's partial, so I'm just going to sort of put a little black there. And again, we've got some partials here. Oh, down there. It's nice to dust off the old tangles now and again. The ones that are older and been around for a while, like this one, Be Light. They still work. Sort of like the little black dress of Zentangle, these older, easy patterns. But here's an example. Xander and the chevron pattern and Be Light. Do they go together? Yeah. Were they meant to go together? Don't know. But just give you an example, it all works. It all works well. There's no set, this pattern has to go with this pattern. It's really personal choice and freedom, which is really what I really do love about Zentangle, is the freedom it gives you to make these kind of decisions on a small piece of paper. I also want to mention that if you like To see more of my art, you can follow me on Instagram under Loretta, LORETTA .west, and occasionally have little videos on there as well. Let me move this a little bit like that. So every now and again, when you're doing this, make sure that you look at your project from afar. So hold it at arm's length, turn it around, look at it, see what it looks like. You might want to add some things, you want to shade some things. Just take a minute to look at it from a distance. Okay. Now this little window, when I look at this, I think that these spaces are kind of like windows. That's why I look at it. It's like, oh, they're like a window. Okay. So I'm going to call them windows today. Just going to come in here and get this set up again with the parallel lines. Okay, so the way I did this was I did another one on the other side, but the shapes are faced the other way, so upside down. So instead of it being in this corner, it was on the opposite corner of each box. And I'm going to show you another tangle. And I'm going to draw a space for it. So from this corner to this corner, down to this center dot. Remember we put the center dot there before? We're going to do that. And we're going to do that. And I'll give you a couple options here. You can do what I'm going to do on the tangle on the tile, or you could do just a leaf shape, so you've got a leaf here. It looks like a leaf, right? At least it does to me. And you could turn it into a leaf shape, repeating this same chevron pattern. So that's a really easy way to do it. Or you could do a betweed, which is what I'm going to do. I think we did it last time too, which is a Maria Thomas tangle. And betweed does really well in these kind of shapes, this triangular shape. I'm just going to get myself situated here, started. So I'm going to start on the upper line, and I'm going to do a little arcing line that way. It's just so you can see. Whoop. And it's got a little comma on the end, and another one this way, and another one that way. And every time I do this, I think about braiding my horse's tail as a teenager, getting it ready for a show, or just braiding their hair because it was fun to do. I wonder what they thought about that. I'm going to just get to this sort of where it starts to flatten out, then I'm done. I'll do another one on this side. I'll start over here. Oops, went the wrong way. It's okay, just keep going. It's funny. The brain switched to the other side and the brain went, what? What are you doing? I was just fine doing the other way. Okay. And then in here, what are we going to do? Well, I came up with something. I was in the garden and I noticed that the snowdrops were out and blooming, happy as heck before the deer got them, and just what they look like. And so I looked up snowdrops and I took some pictures, and there is a similar one that is more, I can't remember the name of the person who did it, sorry, whoever you are, but it's more like this with this little cap here like this, and then 3 petals like that, which is fine. And you're welcome to do that, whatever it's called, snow something. But then I thought I can do better. Do you ever do that? Just, I can do better. Yeah, I'm gonna do better. So then I thought it needed to be more like a snowdrop. And so I came up with this, which is again this little cap. And then this kind of petal coming off one side. Sort of like a mustache. And the bottom, I call it the lip of the flower. And then pretty much just the letter W over top, which is a lot like not only a snowdrop that's open, but also an orchid. So I call that snowdrops like that. So let's do that in here. So we have this little window space. And I could do it also so that it's not fully open. So I'll just show you that. So I'm just going to do an arcing line for the stem. And maybe one that's not fully opened. Be like that. It's almost like an acorn, but you could do something like that. And then for one that is fully open, we'll go to what we just did. And it's going to be on top of the other guy. So I've just got it. Like that. I think I'll do a third one over here. So yeah, I just thought it was really pretty. I know if you want to, you could do, different, depending how much space you have, you could do a different shapes in here. So I'm just going to show you in pencil first. Something like that. Around these. It's kind of funny, the U part. I don't like the U part. So maybe I would do, I'm just experimenting, so you're going to have to bear with the experimenting here. Maybe I would do something like this and break it up. And something like that. Something like that. So that's an option. And then you could put tangles in there like tipple or whatever you want. So that is one option. I'm not going to do that. Like I said, I like to have resting places for the eye. And around these snowdrops is what I'm thinking. Wow. Okay. And then, so what you would do is you would do, so, or what I did, is I did be light here, be light over there, snowdrops here and snowdrops there with between. So we have them facing each other. And then your in a flux in these corners. So we're going to do a little color before we go. You can utilize, like I said, watercolor if you have watercolor paper or paper that can handle that. Markers or colored pencil. Whatever floats your boat. So today I've got some, I was thinking that, that if you look at a snowdrop, it's white with a little tiny tinge of green. So I'm going out of my color comfort zone on this one because this is not normally the colors I would choose. So that's another thing you can do. You can challenge yourself by picking colors that you wouldn't normally use. Though I would say that I probably use this yellow a lot. This is canary yellow, number 916, Prismacolor. I've got a white, 938. And a light aqua 992, a super wild green called chartreuse, which is also a really nice liqueur, 989, and spring green 913, and parrot green 1006. For dark, I've got denim blue 1101. And for my contrasting color, it makes everybody pop, 918, which is orange. Okay, so just to do a little bit of coloring and then you can finish it up on your own. And I'm going to start in the middle with my flower here. And I've got my really wild yellow, canary yellow. Really, it is a cool yellow. So on the spectrum of cool and warm colors, this is a cool, what I would call a cool yellow. And then we're going to come in with my orange. So I want this to be poppy in the middle. Let's do little circles with my Prismacolors. Because the little hairs on the paper kind of stand up microscopically, of course. And if I do little circles, then I'm getting all sides of the little hairs. I'm going to go back with this yellow, this canary yellow, and blend them together a little bit, just going over those two colors together, and that makes them even brighter. So if you want really bright colors, one of the things you can do is put a bright yellow as your base layer. So that would be any kind of medium, and it'll brighten them up. Okay, so then along here, Let's see, I've got this yellow and orange going. I'm going to go back to the center of my Inaflux here because I want that really, really to glow. I want it to glow through, lit from the inside. I don't know if you look inside a crocus in the spring and the yellow stamen is so bright. I've got my orange again. I'm just going to go around the edge here. This is, you know, color the way you like to color. This is the way I color. But you have another way that you like to do it, go ahead. And there's so many YouTube videos on coloring and using colored pencils and stuff. I'd recommend that you look them up and come up with a way that you'd like to do that. But see how that glows together? It glows together. Ha, bad joke. Okay. And then for my Inaflux, what do I want here? I've got this light aqua, parrot green, and denim blue. So I'm going to start with my light aqua and just very lightly, using quite lightly. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on here. This petal, I'm just doing each petal around here, circles, mainly, and a little bit back and forth. Take a minute to breathe as well. It's a good idea. Always a good idea to take in some air. If you need to take a break and stretch your fingers before you start coloring, that's a good time to do it. Get up, walk around. So there, this is a color I would not choose for a flower normally. So I'm out of my comfort zone. I've challenged myself a little bit. And that's okay. So I'm going to go in with the darker color. So this is a parrot green. And I'm just going to start to do the bottom here a little bit, give it some weight. We do a little bit here where along the edges where the petals overlap. Not a lot, I'm doing quite lightly. Very light for me today. And then I've got this denim blue, and I'm going to put that at the bottom here. It's really, I'm pressing quite hard, probably medium pressure on there, and lightening up as I go up the shape. I'm going to go back to where I started, my aqua, and just mix them together a little bit, pressing a little bit harder, using that to mix colors together. You can also use a blending pencil if you want. There's lots of ways to do it, and if you look online, there's many ways of blending pencils. There was I should put it in the comments, but there was one I found that it was a blog that compared them all, which was very good. Okay, so here I can see where I can just do a little more. We are shading here with this blue, it's dark denim blue. Goes around here just a little bit. I'm just doing a little, not a lot. But you can see the yellows here are popping, which is what I was going for. And if I want, I've got some white in here. I can also use to blend the colors together a little bit on the tips. Okay. All right. So let me just quickly show what I did on another tile to give you an idea of what you can do. So this is, again, these colors were out of my comfort zone. Again, I picked colors I wouldn't normally use, for raspberry to blue to violet. These are little snowdrops. I don't think I would color in behind them again. I think they kind of got lost in there. So, or if I did, it would be really, really, really light, like that was too dark. Or I don't know. But if I did it again, I would do it differently. How's that sound? I went in I went in here with some oranges and some violets and blues. And then on here again, this is blues and violets. And this is a real raspberry color in here. But the yellow really pops. You see that? That's what I was going for. And the yellow spring flowers that come out. And then I took my Deco Color liquid gold, and I didn't see the bling on there, but I put a little bit of bling here and on the cuffs of Xander and on the edges here as a border. Just to give you an idea, if you wanted to take a screenshot of that right now, feel free to do so, and then you've got some reference color. I'm going to stop the recording now, but I want to thank you so very much for joining me, and we hope to see you in the fall.